Welcome guys, I'm Mike from Job Ready English. This is the Pass the Interview series where we break down the video interview processes for world famous companies to help you get hired. So let's jump in. When have you worked in a high performing team? This is a super interesting question, and it's one that I don't really come across. It's one that you would maybe expect to hear in banking, but thinking and breaking this question down, a high performing team is one that is putting out a lot of work and also is probably operating on quite a high level of technical skill. Definitely when we think about the insurance industry and being driven by maths and statistics, this is where you'll find a lot of really smart people who are going to be technically gifted and really good at what they do and kind of crunching the numbers for quite complex scenarios and situations. So at a time when you worked in a high performing team, could this be a sports team, an extracurricular activity? Could it be a really good group project that you got a lot out of because you had some really intelligent classmates? And why are they asking this? Well, they're asking to see how you interact with that team, how you help that team communicate and move towards completing a goal or meeting a deadline. Tell me about a time when you led a team. A classic question about leadership. There's nothing really too strange about this question. When breaking down behavioral and competency questions, do remember you're going to be wanting to answer that in the STAR format, which is situation, task, action, result. If you don't really understand that and you want a way that that's being broken down a little bit more, do check out our free Pass the Interview Skillshare course. It's really quite helpful, and there's some more videos where I break down this process. Why is leadership important? All companies are looking for leaders. They're going to invest 5 figures in training you to become a chartered actuary, a business analyst, a reinsurance agent, whatever that may be. But companies spend a lot of money to train people, and they really do that in mind, knowing that most of the graduates will probably leave within 3 to 5 years, and they want to make sure that they're taking on graduates who have that ability to work and move through the company. So when you're thinking about answering a question about leadership, just think about communication, delegation, resource allocation, resolving problems, fixing issues, being the person who gets the dirty work done, and also the one who gets results and meets those deadlines. The reason why I say about getting the dirty work done is I think a lot of times there's this misconception that a leader is just somebody who kind of points at people and tells people to do things and sits there and does nothing. When really my experience, and I know the experience of many of my peers, many professionals, is that somebody who is a leader is really expected to be the person who makes difficult decisions, has to do the extra work, and sometimes has to carry out work that is kind of thankless and nobody's even gonna notice that you've done it. But that is the job of a good leader. Tell me about a time when you overcame a problem at work. Now, this is a good example of a work-based problem and the context of overcoming that problem, whether that be with a project, a deadline, getting information, or with other members of staff, or potentially even with management. And I can think of many, many different examples, whether it be, I don't know, cleaning a coffee bar, or whether it be a disagreement that you had with a colleague. Again, thinking about the STAR-based format and learning how to resolve difficulties and issues in a professional way, which is generally me sitting down with another person, having a conversation one-to-one and setting out some boundaries and expectations. I'm kind of talking about that more from a management perspective, but I think generally from a student's perspective or a new professional coming into the industry, something to look at is just say, well, look, I'm understanding that other person's point of view, I'm listening to what they have to say, and I'm working to try and resolve that problem to make sure that we're all on the same page. Tell me about your proudest achievement. I love this question. Whenever it comes up, I feel like it's a really good opportunity and it gives you your time to shine. Please don't give achievements that to me are a bit just kind of bogus. Sometimes people will talk about a project that they've handed in or just something that's really small and innocuous, and to be honest, it just sounds like you're trying to tell me what I want to hear, and I don't really care. And one thing particularly I found for students and international students is that they will undersell themselves, their international experience and the things that they've gone through. And that's something actually I discussed recently with I think one of the founders from Student Circus, just this constant and a reflection from employers that they had engaged with, just saying, look, don't undersell yourself, whether that be that you publish poetry or you've played in a sports competition or that you've traveled a lot. Give something that you are truly proud of, whatever that may be, and don't sell yourself short. Describe a time where you were in an unethical situation. What did you do and what is the result? Another kind of common theme that does come up is just the element of integrity. Where there's money, there's going to be some fiddling, there's going to be some things that are happening which are untoward, and often banks, professional services and financial institutions will just throw that in there a lot of times. So you might kind of struggle to think about how this relates to you, because probably, you know, you're a nice person, you've not really been in that many unethical situations, or if you have, it's not really something that you want to talk about. What I tend to find as a common theme that comes up is people being asked to either compromise on the quality of their work in a group scenario, or maybe just copy somebody else's project, or something that seems relatively harmless. Generally, people don't cheat because they like cheating. They cheat just because it's easier. They just have to do less work. I don't think implicitly they are immoral. It's just the path of least resistance or least friction that they're following down. So that's an example I've dealt with time and time again with different candidates. And just as an indicator for you to think about how to answer this question. Just any time when you're having to compromise your personal principles or standards to do something because somebody else. Give me a time when you had to work in a difficult team environment and how did you manage to do that? Whenever you get asked a behavioural question, always think to yourself, why are you asking me that question? You know, like if you sneak in home late one night and your mum goes, where have you been? And you're like, nowhere. I've just been to the shop. Like there is an intent. There is a reason why the interviewer, even if it's just a robot, is asking you. So here it's basically saying, how do you deal with a difficult or stressful situation? Thinking about that investment banking analyst dealing with, you know, people, demands, deadlines, pressure. What has it been like for you? Maybe you worked in a restaurant. Maybe you served fast food. I know for me, a time when I've had to work in a difficult environment was probably the first job I had when I was 16. And I worked in fast food. And how did I manage that? Well, what I did was I just compartmentalized. I just concentrated on my job, made sure I did the best that I could. I listened to what people had to say. I took on board feedback and I tried to get better. I tried to learn from other people. And most of all, I didn't take it personally, because sometimes people get stressed and they say things that they don't mean. But one thing that I would always do is, when work was done, work's done. It's got nothing to do with me. Give me an example where you took your own initiative. Now, I love this question because in so many roles these days, particularly knowledge work roles, where we're using our brains, computers, data to reach better decisions on behalf of our clients. Taking initiative is really like, what does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean that you're waiting for me to tell you what to do. You're seizing the opportunity, you're getting involved, and you're thinking, yeah, I know what I need to do. And really, all of you guys have done that. Whether it be in work, when you started to, you know, clean down after work, or you went that extra mile for a customer, or perhaps you did a little bit extra in a presentation, or you had somebody in your group who's a little bit shy and you tried to involve them into the conversation. So that's a way to think about behavioural questions. Guys, don't forget, stick around until the end when I'm going to do a little screen share with you and let you know how we can pick out behavioural questions. Are there any questions that you really struggle with and you'd love an explanation to? Why don't you drop it down in the comments below and let me know, so possibly we can make a video about it. If you've enjoyed this video, please drop a comment below with a thumbs up or just the next company you'd like us to cover, and subscribe to the channel for new videos every week. Good luck.